How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another SUI update. It has been a while, but I've just let everything develop, and what I've been saying has been proven over a long period of time. So, what I've been suggesting ever since this move down is that when something drops down so much, unfortunately, it makes it so hard to get back into its original trend, which is the bullish trend with such a move down, especially down into this capitulation wick. If I place the fibs on that point, we can see it created these multiple levels of resistance, part of the golden ratio, all the way up until the 886 fib. So I was suggesting on a daily basis, even when there was a double bottom forming on the 200 EMA over here, that eventually it is going to fill in the wick. Even though we have this bullish pattern, there are multiple bearish crosses up ahead, and even breaking through that area, there would still be that 886 Fibonacci at around $5. As price continues to new lows, and we've now set a new lower low, this drags down the levels, so actually brings them down, making it, you would assume, easier to recover. But no, we just keep adding further resistances the more we drop down when you're holding the final ultimate macro support here, the 200 daily EMA, creating an average of the last 200 days, guys. That's majority of the year. So if you're seeing the trend being lost, then what does that mean for the next months? It means it's in a terrible situation. And even if you see market-wide bounces, they should actually be a trick. So any movement back up, the 200 EMA should now act as a bearish signal. So a move back up into there should actually be calling for a top rather than for a breakthrough. If we start actually seeing with our own eyes the proof there that the 200 EMA is recovering, then fair enough, is actually starting to attempt to change the trend once again back into bullish. But it had every right with this bullish pattern over here to attempt a bullish breakout. And with that failing, no longer changing the structure back into bullish, keeping the bearish structure, keeping the lower highs, and just not breaking through that structure. We've consistently seen the same thing over and over and over again. And what I was actually saying all the way back over here is that I was seeing a lot of similarities with the March top of last year with these four tops here. You can see the four tops and the final two being a double top, as you can see. Same thing in this situation to the right. And so it could potentially still be far away from the bottom, even if we get these significant bounces. Remember now, the further that we go, the harder it becomes because we keep adding levels of resistances due to on the way down, creating short-term supports, losing them, confirming them as resistance, losing that support, then confirming its resistance, finding a support here, but then losing it and confirming it as resistance. It's making it a lot harder. There's now a lot more hurdles in the way. Not that like it can actually do it in the end. Of course it can. But if we're looking at similarities, what I was saying in this area where I was forming a double top, sorry, double bottom, my mistake here, this W pattern, I was saying, look guys, it looks exactly like this area, which will break down and we'll get a retest before continuing lower. That is literally what happened over here. And we're now essentially in this move down. So could argue that we're quite close, but you can see even once the bottom is in, it can take some months. So that could still be up ahead. Even if we see some short-term bounces, it's nothing really to get excited about because we know that it is still going to take some months to sort this out. So even if you wanted to start DCAing, do it at the slowest pace, not financial advice, of course. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not personally in SUI. I was, and then of course when I saw the signals to get out, I was getting out. Even though I was sharing it with people, you could decide whether you see the same thing or not. Many people didn't agree, but we've seen it develop into just further confirming my stance. So well done to anyone that was taking action on what I've been talking about in these video updates. So yes, there is a scenario where it can get out of this situation, as you can see in the past here. After a few months of accumulation, it did eventually reclaim all sets of moving averages. And you would say that if it actually recovers the moving averages here, it's golden, we're good, new all-time highs coming. Now, if we spend a few more months and that happens, then I'll definitely believe so. But if we start just coming up now in a V-shaped recovery, I really am not sure it will sustain, guys, if we get a mega bounce. So for me personally, I don't really assume the 200 EMA to get recovered around $3 level. I think now that we've formed so many bearish crosses and moved back up, even just to $3, even as high as $3, my apologies, it wouldn't be good enough. I need to see $3 reclaimed. Not only that, a further push and break through $4 into almost $5. Once that is broken, then we can talk about new all-time highs. I know that's so late in comparison to the bottom, but we are still not clearly at a bottom yet. You could argue that we're just here, or that we're just here. In following the past schematic, you can see this was the base created and we're just now losing that. So you could argue that we're as early as here or as late as here. We're still one final drop or two more to come. But yes, you can see months down the line, this should sort itself out and we should target a new all-time high. So do what you will with that information. I think that this could still come lower than current price. It may be even as low as $1, between $1 and $1.60. I will update it as it develops. If I start seeing those signs of all these moving averages recovering, we start creating like an inverse head and shoulders pattern of some sort, and then breaking through, start breaking through the next level, then I'll be highly inclined into thinking it will be the all-time high break. But in the meantime, just stay focused on the Bitcoin chart. Tune into my Bitcoin updates if you can. Before I end off this video, we'll look at SUI BTC, and this might actually clear it up a little bit. So currently, right now on the SUI Bitcoin chart, more I'm personally seeing, especially if I head over to the weekly time frame, is something quite negative. And if Bitcoin is to take over SUI in the trend, that means that we're actually seeing a bearish phase of the market where Bitcoin is holding up better. And we know this to be true because that has been the experience the past few months. Everything has been going down, but Bitcoin holds up better. But unfortunately, over the past couple of weeks or so, you've now validated this macro head and shoulders pattern on the SUI Bitcoin chart. Now we can see this in the past, a smaller one, so you'd assume less consequences. This is a much larger one. And in fact, guys, when it comes to a head and shoulders pattern, please note that the shoulders are the true resistance and the head is the fake out. So with that being the case, if I draw out a resistance on the shoulders and then I drag it into the past, looking to the left as structure leaves clues, it's quite funny that this was the top previously in February on the SUI Bitcoin chart. On dollars, it was March time, so around this pump on the SUI USD, but this is SUI Bitcoin, so it topped out quite earlier, and that has been held as resistance once again. So with this head and shoulders pattern, shoulders knowing that they're the true resistance, the head being the fake out, it's just further validity of this bearish pattern that it is following very alike to the past correction, and then there is still more to come essentially. And we see a lot of similarities in this chart looking at the past correction. Also, it's just where will it bottom remains the question. I really don't believe it is here. If I start to see development of that, I'll be the first to let you know. As of right now, I think it's going to be between $1 and $1.60. So a few more months to go. Even once it's found a bottom, we can see it can still take a few months to get out of the situation, and then a few further months to get back to where it was. So it could literally take until the end of the year to get this explosive movement again, or coming out of summer, but it should be worth it coming out of it. Now, in that period, I just think for myself personally, I'm going to be accumulating Bitcoin. It will be the first back to that 886. It will be the first one to break it and then give the signal to the rest of the market that they should go ahead and do the same. So the alt should be lagged in that case because of how much they also dropped in comparison to Bitcoin. They need a lot more, and they have a lot more hurdles. They need a lot more gains just to get back to where they were. So that's why Bitcoin is going to find it a lot easier with less hurdles, as it dropped less and lost less support. There's less resistances now because there's less supports lost, right? And then on the alts, so many more supports were lost, so there's so many more resistances. It needs many more percents to grow because of how badly they went. So that's why I think that Bitcoin's going to get me back to the all-time high the quickest, and it's going to go down the least. I've been accumulating it, moving the alts over for some months now, and in this period I've avoided like further minus 60, further minus 70%, because I've just been DCAing Bitcoin instead of alts. Now again, there will be a moment for alts, but it's a moment, it's not long term. So we have to make sure that when that new trend starts, whether it's from here and we start seeing all these key levels recovered, or if it starts from getting down here first, Long term, there is going to be, well, as in when we get down there, there's going to be that short to mid-term period where we can profit along alts. Until we get to that stage, I'd just rather not touch them myself. That's it from me today. If you want to find out more about what I'm personally doing, if you want to join the group workshops where I mentor you guys, I've got one hosted tonight, but I do them weekly anyways. So yeah, for further exclusive content, for any personal assistance, check out the links in the description. I'll see you over there. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Let's hit 10K. Cheers.